How did you find out about Yield School?
If I'm not mistaken, Instagram or Facebook.
Okay, okay,
I think you have an ad out there. I forget which one. I think it was one or the other.
okay. And what was it that got you interested in joining Yield School?
Honestly, I started gaining success back in 2024. I started making money, finally when I switched my business plan and I said, I have to do something with the money, so I wanted to get into crypto. And obviously I rode the train up. First thing I invested in, I got shit lucky, was XRP at 30 cents. So I threw all my money in at XRP and I was like, well, this is fun because XRP went from 30 cents to $3 during my first crypto journey. So I mean, I got lucky by picking a 10x right off the bat and having fun with it. Then obviously from there on, I started looking at Deck Screener because you start running into people, talking to people. People are like, buy the Trump coin, buy this, buy this. And obviously deck screeners, it looks fancy and you see, oh, 48,000%, 100,000%, but once you actually get into it, and here I am, I've come light years from learning from the school, talking, really digging in, looking at it, watching it. You learn that like basically 90% of deck screeners all scams, unfortunately, which is cool. But it's not what all the bells and whistles, that I was hoping for. I was like, I want 100,000x. Why not? Is it still possible? Absolutely. But that's why I joined Yield School, because I had a little bit of self-realization that like I want to learn, I want to indulge, I want to be with the best, I want to immerse myself with the best. And that's why I joined Yield School, and that's why I found you. Was it a risk? It was a little risk. The first meeting you had like I forget the gentleman's name. He was really nice, but he was a little bit of a salesman. And when someone's trying to be a salesman, it's a little different. You know what I mean? But I still took the risk and went with you guys. I was like, I'm going to learn, and, jumping on and learning all the things that you show. It blows my mind. I love that you guys are about security and scams, and it really helped me anyways. I think by joining Yield School, and it's probably saved me $100,000 by not doing dumb stuff right off the bat, thinking I was cool and smart.
I'm glad to hear it. Yeah,
So
and I'm
that's
glad you
just
took
the
the chance
honest
enough.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you kept 100 grand. Have you had any wins or successes you can share since joining Yield School?
Jumping on Deck Screener, really, Callum Toner is one of your associates, I believe.
Yep.
So I got into him, I guess, recommended through him through the grapevine. He seems to be the number one go-to guy for the degenerate stuff, as you call it. I'm really good at it. I get anywhere from 25x, or not 25x, 25% to 100%. And I could do it all day, every day, really fast. It depends how much money you want to put in. But it's like just quick, quick. So it's like, in terms of success, I would say the most success is learning not what to do. I haven't made a ton of money yet through this, but I would like to, and that's what we're doing, right? Learning how not to lose money. I've watched so many of my friends, so much of my family, and so many people that I don't even know, but you call them associates, just lose all their money. And that's why I really joined Yield School, is not to lose my money at the very least. But I do post these wins, like I got the Pepe Boost robot, which is super fast, that Callum recommended. You watch the decks, it's real easy. If you're good at charts, if you just can stare at a screen for an hour, you just watch it, and it's not rocket science. You hit the low and you sell at the top, and it's fun. But when you're gonna throw 10,000, 20,000, $30,000 at one of these degen coins, you best believe you better do the research and have a community backing you, rather than throwing one soul or 10 soul at these things. So that's where I am with it. I'm still not comfortable throwing $50,000 at one of these degen coins, but if I had a good community back, if I had a good following, I would be willing to do that more. But I think once you put in that kind of money, you start going into more stable things that have utilities and uses, from my understanding. And that's what I've been learning from Yield School.
Okay. Have you found the Yield School program helpful?
I found it extremely helpful. At first, I wasn't sure what was going on. You know, you have a really nice setup. I have it pulled up right now. You got started with Yield School. The first part of Yield School, you started the program, which I think you were like the first part of the course. And I really appreciated you. It's like take care of your health, do your brain dumps. If there's no point in being rich if you're going to be unfit and unhealthy, all that stuff. That's really the most important stuff because nobody wants to build somebody's wealth if they're just going to be fat and die in a year. And that's the truth. You know that. I know that. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that was really nice that you really said, hey, take care of yourself, take care of your mind, take care of your family, because you're not going to be able to do any of this without the solid state of mind, first. So that's good. So I did that. I'm in Alaska. I'm lucky. I'm a pretty fit guy. I go hunting and fishing, and I like to surf, and I go to the gym and eat healthy and eat moose all day. So at least I know I'm ahead of that curve. But yeah, I've been doing the things that you've been showing, like do the brain dumps, write a log, make sure you're not eating junk food, all that stuff. That was the start of Yield School. That was, how you started it. And then you started get into it, set up a Rabby wallet. You set up what was the other one? You got a Rabby, a
MetaMask
MetaMask
or
wallet. Yeah, and
yeah.
those ones I haven't really used yet, which is fine, but it's good to learn to experience. I had a Phantom wallet before that, and I feel like Phantom's been working fine. Um, and Coinbase wallet. Honestly, between those two and the Pepe Boost, and then I'm starting to get into like the Bolex robot, and so I probably got like 10, 20 wallets now, which is fine. It's starting to get confusing. But a lot of the things that you had when you set up the program weren't exact. And it wasn't frustrating because I realized that from country to country or apps or times, things are different. But like when you were setting up the MetaMask wallet, it was totally different on my screen than your screen. And like you explained that, but it wasn't just cookie cutter. And
Mm.
you were doing this and you're learning how to transfer and you cut and paste and you do those things. It's so important to do these things because you're off by one number, one decimal point, one backslash, a wrong cut and paste. Your money's gone pretty much, right? I'm not sure if you guys have ways to recover it, but you send your money to a different wallet, it's pretty hard to recover it, correct? I mean, so that was really
Yeah.
good in terms of the aspects of setting up your wallets, getting to know what you're doing. You guys go through the terms really good, and then you start getting into the, generating and research and analysis and things. A lot of it was way over my head. So, I did send out a thing about a week or two ago. My only recommendation for Yield School, because I went to school for microeconomics about 30 years ago at a formal university, Westchester University. It was like a castle. So, like, if you wanted to look something up, you had to write a thesis. If you wanted to do something, you had to do like a spreadsheet. If you wanted to learn something, you did that stuff. So that's what I'm doing with Yield School. I'm taking a formal university training and trying to integrate it into this it's I would say 2025 learning platform, which is really nice to do it both ways. But the best thing for me is I don't trust anybody. It's not that I don't trust you or I don't trust Yield School. It's just that I like to go down the rabbit hole 100% all the way. So I would just say, like, I would like to learn more basic stuff, absolute basics, like the back ends of coins, how they're created, that kind of thing, charts and candles and indicators, and do they apply or don't apply? Is it all hype or no, it does work? And the most, is it these 100 times is I do watch the candles and I do watch the indicators and I do watch the moving average divergence convergence. Because you can get indicators minutes ahead of maybe other people that don't know what they're doing. You can watch that curve come up and you obviously know it's time to buy it. Whether it turns back down or not, then you can sell. But you those indicators to me are so huge, and it's just things like that aren't covered. I'm a farmer and a cannabis grower and a retailer. I didn't come from a trading background. So me being the first time doing this, especially live, especially hands on, um, that's just a little bit more. And I've taken the time. I've watched YouTube maybe 100 hours, and I've watched different trainings and things. But I'd like to get those things from you because you guys have been doing this for such a long time. You know what I mean? And say, no, this guy don't know what he's talking about. Maybe he does. But the absolute basics is more important for me because you have it so streamlined, which is absolutely fantastic. You're like, just pick these. This is how we're going to do it. Let us pick them for you. We're doing the research for you. And that's absolutely fantastic. But people like me, I don't believe it until I see it, if that makes sense. That's all.
Okay. Well, that's great feedback. Um, do you have any other feedback? Just the things that are top of mind?
I would just like, it's just the only part is like you have on here, like your blue chips, your mid caps, your low caps. That's fantastic, and I'm sure there's been thousands to reach. Like, when do you buy them? When you have money? Do you just cost average the whole time? Things like that. It's the uncertainties. And we do. David Doss is absolutely fantastic, by the way. Pat him on the back. I think he's an absolutely fantastic guy. And he'll tell me right to my face, like, "Hey, don't no, I wouldn't do that, or don't do this, and this is what I would do." But you get people jumping into this yield school. Well, of course, we're going to start clicking buttons. I don't know. Maybe have a course like on part of your initial course that says don't click any buttons till you talk to our associates a few times. Because I want to buy stuff. I want to jump in. I want to be interactive. I'm going to jump on decks. I'm going to lose money. I'm going to buy Ethereum at $3,000 a coin because I just jumped in January into your yield school. And guess what I did? Things like that. I would say, like, I just don't know how to. I wish I had the answer of how to. Just you gotta. I just you really want to be like, hey, step back for a minute, learn this. I know you're excited. I know you want to jump in. I know you want to throw it all in, but let's not lose money in the meantime. It's what I'm saying. That's my only thing. And like a lot of your low caps and mid caps and things, like when I jumped in January, I think I jumped in January, late January, into the school. Everything crashed right after, and it's just like that's fine. We could cost average down, and luckily I've been doing really good, like I said, with XRP. But um, just some kind of way to slow down the mind to me is the most important learning experience, and that's what I would really like to learn from Yield School. You guys have great lessons on FOMO and slow it down and not what to do. And if you're not watching, sticking to your upcoming events, those things are so important. And I think putting the course together, we have such an amazing team here. From what I can tell, some of the best in the world. And but you really have to be on it. You really have to be with them. You need to be talking with them. You have to have the conviction. What are you doing? What is your time? And everyone's so different. Some people don't touch it and say, hey, take my money. And some people want to jump in and dive into it. So you have a really hard task, believe it or not, Frank, of customizing to everybody's needs. And that's
I believe it.
probably the hardest part of the job of, okay, here's Nicholas. He wants to freaking rip some decks. And then here's John down the street. He wants to put $10 million in a long-term investment. So just the diversity of the school, probably one of the hardest parts.
Yeah, we feel that. We try, and one thing that we're thinking of doing is basically just labeling content as either passive or active. For the passive students, for the passive members that we have, this is the actions, this is the route you should be taking. And if you're active and you're someone who's basically wanting to put more than an hour a day, every single day or 6 days a week onto your computer for this, then this is the route that you should be doing. Because we do have some of the stuff that you're into, we have other members that would absolutely hate. They would absolutely hate it. And we would like to specialize more, like niche down in the market. But right now, we maybe need to experiment with that, to be honest. There's a lot of things that I'm uncertain about, but we're just going to try things and see what works and what doesn't work. Um, I'm glad that you I'm glad that you liked the or I'm glad that you like the need or like the yeah, the need for something to help slow down the mind, because I never know how that mindset stuff works at the beginning of the program. I always think that maybe some people will look at it and kind of just dismiss it or shrug and think like, screw this, just give me the crypto. But it really is the most important thing because uh, in a crypto cycle, you can make 15 years of returns in the traditional market in like 5 months, like right when the cycle goes. But if you're not dialed in, you haven't been paying attention for the past like a year, and you're just not ready for that moment, it's just going to happen too fast and you're going to completely fumble it. And so you need to be doing these basics really consistently so that when probably right when we see Bitcoin cross maybe like 150 this year, things really start going, you're ready for it. You've been taking all the right actions leading up to that moment. And now it's like game day. It's like you've been practicing, practicing, practicing. Now it's the competition. And that's how you make 15 years of returns. That's how you get your portfolio from 50K to 250K in 4 months. But people don't do that. They will kind of be bored with crypto or make some mistakes and they'll be ignoring it. And then when things start to take off, they're just not ready. And so then they miss it. And then they're going to have to wait again for another couple of years for the real juicy moment. And so I think the mindset is very important. And I'm glad you think so too. Could I ask you, what do you like most about Yield School?
Well, honestly, the best thing about Yield School is so far is having David Doss, having the one-on-one because he's honest. The next thing is, having you guys walk through all the basics in terms of, hey, check this stuff out. Set it all up. Like you said, you have to be ready. This is practice. So yeah, just setting it up and being ready. Like I've come light years ahead by joining Yield School, and that's what I was trying to say. So, what I like best about Yield School, not necessarily one segment, not necessarily one thing, but the fact that it's so wrapped up. There's nothing stagnant about Yield School, which is amazing. You could get on these markets and mindsets and office hours and plays and profits, and you could go down to your yield hubs and liquidity pools, and you're showing us how to jump into these markets. And there's nothing slowing down about Yield School, which I really, really love. That's probably the best part that I love. There's nothing mundane. It's fresh. You keep it fresh. It's not just a recording. It's not automated. You can reach out to anybody of the team at any time. You're always professional. You always get back to me. You picked up the meeting today, that kind of stuff. You're not failing in terms of professionalism at all. So you're crushing it there. It's just like I was saying, it's just tough for a farmer like myself to jump into this. And you're talking liquidity pools with lending and staking with three different ways to get in. And only the 1% of the world does it because it's a bitch ass, and it is. And you got to set it up. But that's it's pretty cool. I can't tell you how many friends I've tried to get into crypto or buy a coin and they gave up. They literally give up. They can't even get past Coinbase. So the fact that we're going into a couple of these things and you're honest, that's why I think you're good for where you are in this position, because you're always honest, no matter whether it's a recording on a Facebook ad, I'm talking to you live, in Yield School. You're honest. You're like, this stuff sucks. It's going to take you an extra few steps. You know what? You might rip some hair out, but you know what? You're the 1% of the world. And if you want to be the 1% of the world, this is what you do. And it's really not that hard. It's just this much more effort. If you put in that much more effort, then yeah, we're going to 5 times the portfolio.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So would you recommend Yield School?
Absolutely. I would put every single person into Yield School I can. Every single person, if they could afford it. Especially, I, let's be honest. I think you've been honest about it. I don't think fiat currency is going to exist 10, 20 years. I think it's gone. So it's either you get in now or you could get in later, but you're going to be left behind. It, that's where we have to be. So when you say, do I recommend Yield School? I don't even think it's like recommending Yield School. I almost think it's a requirement for the future. We need a way to streamline this for our children or put it into more of elite schools, because our children, and not only our children, but the future needs to know this stuff. They absolutely have to, because that's where it's going. You're not, the American
Yeah,
dollar is going to be worth nothing in 10 years. So you're either stuck with it or you didn't.
yeah, yeah. You come in for the gains, for the like the crypto gains, and then you sort of through that rabbit hole, you start learning about some pretty serious structural problems, and then you start viewing things in different light. So yeah, you kind of come in for like the fun and for like the money, but then your beliefs are changed in the process, which I really like about. It's also why crypto has so many libertarians as well. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I joined Yield School thinking I was going to get 1,000x on Dev. You guys were going to tell me the picks, and here we go. And you guys still kind of do. I'm not sure how the hell Caleb does it. He like 10x's his shit all the time. How the hell does he do that stuff?
Honestly, I don't even know. We have two different styles. His style makes more money than mine. But yeah, you should ask him. You should message him.
Oh, I do. I message
Yeah.
him all the time.
Yeah, he's really bright, right? Like one thing that I think we've done well at Yield School, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because that's important stuff for me to know. But I think I've hired quite well. I think I've got quite good people on the team who are crypto first. Like in this business, you can kind of hire people that are good with people and maybe not so good with the subject matter. But I always want to hire people who are like really, really good at the subject matter and then train them to be better with people. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That's the most important part.
Yeah.
If
So
you're just
we're
good
going to,
with people, that's not what we're learning here. That you could go to a social event if that's what you want.
yeah. So we're going to continue doing that. And the idea is because we hire really good crypto native professionals, more should come to us because they'll see the caliber of people that we have here at Yield School, and then they should come want to work with us. And that has been how things have been working out so far. I will say, Nicholas, that you are well liked by the team as well. I've seen your name
Oh,
come
great.
up a few times in like our communications, and I think you were our internally. We do every 2 weeks. We do like I jump on a call and I take the whole company through a presentation about our progress, what's going on, and we'll always do a member of a month. And I think you were our member of the month like a month ago, something like that. We did
Great.
like we had a slide come up where we had like your wins on like Titcoin and things like that come up, and the guy spoke on you. So you've been talked about in a really great way. So I thank you for being a good culture fit, like a good vibe, because it makes my team's job a lot more enjoyable when they get to work with guys like you. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm good at that. That's one of my best skill is developing relationships, and I'm easygoing, and I like to when I win and you guys win and we share it together, that's the whole point and why we're here, I think, especially being in a school. And most colleges, when I went to college, Westchester University, classic is like you hang out with your peers, you hang out with the people there, and that's the whole point of sort of going to college, not necessarily what you learned in your day, but the little niches and the friends and the people you meet, that's where you bring in life. And I've sort of friended your team. I don't know how else to say it, because it seems like the other Yield School members, they're a little shy, maybe. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
I would rather be like, I want to immerse myself with your team. I want to be with you and like indulge and feed and be excited and be like, hey guys, I got Titcoin pre-bonding. Check this shit out. And you know what I mean? And that's the kind of stuff why I'm in this. It just so happens that I'm gravitating more to your team than to the members. And I would like to join a little bit better member. I've had a few of the members reach out, when I post some of those things, and they're just a whole different vibe. I don't know how else to say it. So it's just it seems like my fit is the more of the people you've picked, which is really like. So plan on me befriending them all because I'm going to.
Sweet. That's great for me. You make Yield School better, so keep it up.
Good. Thank you.